about media, it's a good time to lead on to Mr. Martin Zimmerman. So, Martin, as a freelance journalist and the extensive experience you've had on the ground in Eritrea, including reporting, can you tell us about your experience of Eritrea? And I'll bring this into everything we've heard from Yafet and Zelalem. But I'd just like your sort of experience on Eritrea and reporting.
Yes, thank you. So I'm very impressed about the statement from Yafet and Tessema. I think it gives us deep insight what happened the past months. From my part, my experience in Eritrea, I visited Eritrea the first time in the 80s, several times during the struggle of liberation, and I have to come back to Yafet. The Eritrean fighters always they have had a really high moral ground, and I don't think that all this massacres, rape, and everything is done by them. When I stood in the field in 85, 87, 88, 89, I think I visited also some camps with prisoners of war from Ethiopian soldiers, 18,000 in number. They were fed by the TPLF at the time, in a time when the TPLF didn't have enough food for their own people. So it is there is a high moral ground for these fighters, and that's what I experienced during the times of the war. It was not only a war, this was a very interesting thing for me, it was also a social transformation for the society. They built a lot of infrastructure, they prepared for the future. The future now. After independence, I visited Eritrea starting from 91, mostly 1 or 2 times a year, dealing with projects from ERA Germany or as a journalist. And I think the media, they don't like to report about successful stories. Yeah. A successful story for me in Africa is that the people, they go their own way. They establish a society. They don't go away to depend on foreign aid or foreign policy. And that's all what I have seen and experienced in Eritrea. Self-reliance is not open for neocolonialism. And for me, it's unthinkable when I heard the story how they worked in Ethiopia to grab the land and to destroy the societies. This will never happen in Eritrea because the Eritrean government and the Eritrean people itself, they go their own way and in their own future in all aspects, and they have done a lot of things. If you have a look to the Millennium Development Goals from the United States, you have a success in every field, be it health, be it water, be it food security, be it school. If you go for investment or for natural resources, yeah. So Eritrea is, I think, the only country which have a share more than 50% of the natural resources. If you look to Nigeria, they deal with 6% for the oil they took out of the country. So they didn't reinvest in their infrastructure, in their people, in their human resources. And this is not, as I said before, it's not attractive for companies to have the highest profit. My experience also is you don't find corruption in Eritrea. I never met any case of corruption. And if also in a very low level, these people went to jail. So all in all, as I thought before, it is not attractive for imperialism, Eritrea. And the Eritrea people are not that what they are described now in the media.
And so you would think, Martin, you're absolutely right. Why, when you have such a great example, particularly my passion is around looking at sustainability, climate change, new ways of development, that we don't have the mental, colonization mentality in developing countries, that they forge their own way. And also these systems don't work in those countries. So what's your experience about reporting about such a good story in the Western media?
As a freelance journalist, I don't have access to the big media companies. But of course, I have done some stories, for example, in the Bisha mine. Yeah. Bisha was accused of human rights complications and so on. And I went there together with another journalist, and we took our time. We stood there for 2 days. So we have had enough time to go around in the mine, guided, of course, because a mining area is not a playground. But we could go to every place. We could take pictures from every place. There was no secret, nothing to hide. We stood there in the evening with the workers. We have had a beer together. We discussed with them. Nobody was with us who was behind us. So, and we couldn't find any tunnel or any slaves working in Bisha, as it is portrayed by the commissioner of inquiry at that time. Back to Germany, we tried to find somebody who published our story. We didn't find, because good news are bad news. It's very simple. I discussed with some chief journalists in newspapers, and they were not interested because this is a report. It is too much positive. It's, let's say, unbelievable for them that it is like we told them. So at least the only way was to bring it to the internet. This was the only way. It was widespread in English and also in Germany, so it was good. And I think it helped also to destroy the negative image somehow. Yeah, but as I told you, to go deep inside this mass media, there is nearly no chance for a freelance journalist.
And that's the other aspect of corruption, because when the TPLF can pay for our media and pay for stories and lobbyists, something that Eritrea refuses to do, you see there's no way that the general public or even human rights organizations, I'm talking about genuine individuals who really care, actually get the full story. So it's a total manipulation. But just before we end, I'd like your perspective on the German Eritrean Friendship Association. How effective was that?
Yes, I'm a honorary member of this German Eritrean Association. And when the war started in November, we have had a lot of discussions, and we thought, how can we come up with a paper to explain to people what's going on in Ethiopia, in Eritrea. And so we created a letter. We called it "Secure the Peace Process in the Horn of Africa." We described the history of Eritrea, betrayed, sold, and divided from 1941 until today. And we sent we also said that a situation will come. Let me have a look. A situation will come where the mass media will portray the perpetrators styled as the victims, as it happens now. And we sent it to the European Union ministers, to foreign affairs ministers, to medias, to human rights associations, and the answer was zero. No positive and no negative answer. So they took it, maybe they read it, maybe they dropped it aside, I don't know. Because, I think they are not interested in in-depth analysis of this conflict. And therefore it's very, very good to have people like Yafet and Zelalem who told us this story now. They hit the nail with these statements. I'm deeply impressed.
Thank you so much, Martin. Really appreciate it.